We're gonna be even doing right now. Yeah, I was like, although I'm even doing the paper stacking thing.
It's the official National Player Club. Garage 5, sitting here with Aaron Kilgore, Kevin Riley. It takes me a second to put it back together. He's going to be our honorary sound man for the trophy today. So welcome back, everybody, to week 3. We got a lot to go over, so we're just jumping right into it.
Yeah, last week we took a really long time doing a lot of stuff. It was our first one in, so we're going to have to go a little bit fast and furious this week. We're going to attempt to do 3 sections this week. We're going to do a recap of last week, where everyone's standings are at. We're going second section will be a overview of the upcoming week. We have some injury reports on those and potential stardom for you guys via you're kind of like on the fence of
what we see so far.
And then finally, on our third patch, we want to do what we're kind of calling fantasy fluff at this point. It'll be F-bombs, kind of like we had last week. We'll cover Sharky's picks of the week that we had on the website. Hope you saw them. It was kind of funny. It was entertaining. A little dry, but we're working on it. And then lastly, we have a special thing for you at the end, so you definitely have to stay tuned for that.
All right, we spent some bucks on that special guest.
Yeah. Okay, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Last week, and I'm starting off with my matchup with the Burn. Finally pulled out my win, moved to 4th place in the North. She dropped to 6 at 0-2 with 200 points. I'm at 4th with 223 at 1-1. 111 over to 104 with Aaron Foster still put up his numbers. And the odd thing is that his backup, Ben Tate, who I handcuffed him with, put up 25 points on my bench, which is why, and we'll get to this later, a certain wide receiver didn't get that many points. I left a lot of points on the bench with Richardson. Probably going to have him in the lineup this week. Bernie, on the flip side, a lot of injuries in this. Bradshaw went out, and there's some waiver wire pickups that have been done via that, Gordo. And C.J. Spiller, 34 points. Mad skills. Fred Jackson still jacked up, and it looks like he's going to be going forward for at least the time being fantasy stuff.
Mark my words from last week. He's going to be the number 1 guy.
Yeah, and right now I think that what I've seen is that in the top, he's looking at top 5 across the board, whether it be PPR, standard scoring, whatever else.
Dynasty. He's a beast. I mean, I got to see some of that game. I mean, C.J. Spiller's for that.
She did leave 26 points on the bench with Vincent Jackson. I don't think it was a deciding factor with who she had going in there. She made the right picks. Things just didn't work out. I've got a thing with Antonio Gates. He got taken out. I made an attempt to make it a replacement at the time, but when we get back into the fluff later, there's a couple things that I need to address via the website that we're going to address it, that you guys know about that. And
now, I do want to say one thing I noticed when I was going through all the scores and stuff. This week, there was a lot of points left on benches. So throughout. I mean, some of it was make and break points, too. With Trudy and I, she would have beat me by 10 points had she made a couple of substitutions.
I mean, for the most part, you walked into those first 3 weeks. Everyone drafted the way they did for a reason. Most of those players should be producing the way they are. You're starting to see in the first couple of weeks people starting to Well, a couple things. You're seeing people come up that were kind of like off the grid, and then the flip side of that, you're seeing the injury bug already start snapping off on some key players.
Yeah. My Bradshaw,
Aaron Gates, Hernandez.
Yeah.
I mean, you're Fred Jackson. I mean, I can just go to. There's a list of top 3 rounds. There's a good chunk of bodies that are already out or sidelined at least for a minimal amount of time that are going to make major impacts moving forward. And not for nothing, one of the things I was going to address in the fluff, but this week brought it up. Week 4 starts bye weeks, so remember. You look at the bench, and you're comfortable with where it's at. If you're not, get your cash in because you're going to want to make some adjustments because after this weekend, next week starts bye week, and people have to make adjustments accordingly.
Yep.
Moving on to the second matchup of last week, we've got our Road Rash and the Barflies. It was a barn burner. Came down on Monday night.
Barn burner.
Revenge
of the Olsen twins.
There's the Olsen twins. We've got a special commentator that will address this later as well. But
Peyton, 4 picks.
It was brutal. He dug himself a hole, but not for that. You know what? He actually dug himself out of that hole and gave himself a chance to win.
It proved why he's an MVP. And why
he went from a Colt to a Bronco, literally.
Well,
Stick him on any team, he's going to do that.
John left 31 points with Andy Dalton on his bench, cost him the game. But I saw why he started Peyton, especially based off the week before
And
that.
his defense.
Yeah, and Raiders defense -1. That was rough when Seahawks put up 20 on your bench. Quarterback controversy in Road Rash's house. You've got Michael Vick, who was drafted 2 years ago as his number 1 overall pick. This year he was held in round 3, maybe I want to say round 4, as his starting quarterback after his debacle in week 1 has now been kicked to the bench, and RG3 has taken over as the starting quarterback. Not only does he get downfield, but he runs in touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he's effective. Put him in 35 points.
He's got Vic and Vic Jr.
So but he's going to have that issue. He's going to be that coin toss going on all year long because they're almost that same guy. And Michael Vick, I mean,
at that point, he really needs to pay attention to his matchups.
And the Eagles are winning, which is going to make it even harder for him.
So more points going forward, Michael Vick or RG3?
RG3. He's younger. He's faster. I don't know about stronger. Doesn't fight.
You know what? I'm on the fence for this one. I want to say RG3 only because I think he's going to be upright longer than Michael Vick.
Yeah.
But I think if all things being equal and Vick stays upright longer, I think the Eagles go farther towards the playoffs than Washington. Washington's defense has gotten decimated this last week. They lost 3 players off that defense, which will basically get their offense back on the field a lot longer. Now, so long as those replacement refs, because they were a nightmare in that game, can get that sorted out or stay off the field, then I think they can produce and Vick goes down.
The other thing with Philadelphia, I mean, their wide receivers are banged up. And their top 2 wide receivers, and Macklin and Deshaun Jackson. I mean, these guys are walking wounded.
Yeah, true. But at the same time, Washington's walking in the same thing too, because Washington's got a banged up wide receiver who may or may not play this week, and he doesn't trust anybody else but the person that's banged up.
They have that rookie that actually showed up and produced. I mean, he put 19 points on my bench. I picked him up this year just because he was projected to go to be something this year. So just have to wait and see how it plays out, really. I mean, and see if RG3 trusts another rookie on the field.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see whether John actually takes his Manning Love to the next level or decides to put Andy Dalton in this upcoming week and needing a win since there is a whole lot of ties in both the North and the South at 1-1. John sits in 5th space at 1-1 at 218. Road Rash 2-0. 2-0. Last year you were an afterthought. I think you kind of like just signed off about halfway through the year. You were on a plane one year. About week 4. Was that what it was?
It's on a plane. He was in another country.
Worried about the Rangers making the World Series.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and here's the funny thing. Mike right now is sitting at 2-0 in the North, and he is second to last in points. So here's the thing. Though 2-0 is huge for you because as soon as everyone starts catching up with those even scores, that second to last points goes like that. Brandon Marshall hurt you this week. Blew up last week. He's a contestant for F-bombs later on, but we'll discuss that here shortly. You can leave some points on the bench, Bengals defense, but it is what it is. Defense or points based on what your matchup is. Pretty good time-wise? 6 minutes. All right, moving on. Here's your boys, ELC, Emerald City Lanterns at 102-199. Another barn burner. Came down to a Monday night game, yes?
Absolutely.
We're looking at Cam Newton, pulled off 25 points for you. Andre Johnson, who I was referencing earlier, via
Ben Tate and
what was it? Almost over 50 scoring points, fantasy points for the backup and starting running backs for Houston. That left nothing for wide receiver.
219 yards.
Which was crazy because the week before I was praising you and giving you all hails because I called you out on that pick, and now he's down to 5. So it's the thing with him, I think, and not to do any backpedaling, but you're gonna ride this roller coaster with him. Depending on what they do, if they see they got a hole with the running game, you might not see him.
Well, we talked about it last year, going into this year. With both running backs being healthy and as strong of the running game that Houston has, that Andre Johnson, once both running backs were on the field producing, is not going to see the catches he was seeing last year.
All it's going to take is stacking the box, closing down that running game, and he's going to start seeing.
It's difficult to do that. You've got arguably the best running back in the league, and you've got a backup who could start for any team out there. You could put them in a two-back set and run those guys out separately, and it just creates huge mismatches. Not to mention that, and I ran Schaub as my quarterback for quite a while, but not completely sold on his. And the thing is, other than Hunter Johnson, his second and third wide receivers are non-existent.
I don't even know
you
who
did
they
leave 17 points on the bench with Brandon LaFell.
Yeah.
Right? He was off my grid. You plan on putting him in the matchup or the starting lineup? I don't think you have a spot for him unless you're looking at replacing Macklin.
Yeah, Macklin's, he's hurt, and I have a spot for that. It's a spot to put him in. So.
Gordo did have 13 points for Stewart on the bench, but he made a move this week and picked up the starting running back for the Giants, who I believe set the Gnomes on fire because she was looking for him, with Ahmad Bradshaw being potentially out for at least this week and moving forward, which we'll address in next week's matchups. That was a huge pickup this week, and he ranked in the top, I want to say top 15, top 20 for sure of running backs. We good? Moving on? All right. Total chaos. Show me those TDs. Burner in the bed. Fire between the sheets. Rumble under the rumble in the jungle.
Battle between the sheets.
Something along in there. Total Chaos moves on to 2-0 in second place at 240 points. As Show Me Those TDs are in now sixth place at 0-2.
Yeah,
so
she's
got
not
bad
happy.
bragging rights.
She's not happy.
And here's the messed up thing.
Cold on the couch, isn't it?
I got the bed because she likes to have that heater in there.
Here's the crazy thing. Your girl has arguably two of the best, hands down, on one team, wide receivers than anyone in the league right now. And Danny Amendola put up 38 points on her bench last week, and then she still obviously got Calvin Johnson who put up 20.
Last week she was talking to us about whether to start Danny Amendola or
Deshaun Jackson.
No.
Tammy?
Jacob Tammy. And I think we both told her to go with Tammy because of
Amendola is out of control.
Yeah,
and they like him moving forward. Matt Stafford only put up 12 points, but we've seen a lot of these top-tier quarterbacks already putting up less than fantastic points. You look at Brady, you look at Breeze. Breeze was all right, but he's not, he's 30 points a game. Rodgers, I mean, rather stagnant. So those middle-tier quarterbacks that, are hitting right now, and if you've gotten those running backs, those wide receivers, those tight ends early via the draft and waited on that quarterback, this actually seems like it's playing out. It could actually change the course of this particular
whole season.
Moving on, we've got Naughty Gnomes and DK Comics. Another battle in the house. DK Comics put up 143 points. My boy,
he did it quick.
Yeah,
he did it real quick. I watched that one.
It's ruthless. He's now sitting in second place in North with, again, at 1-1. There's a lot of ties at 1-1. She's sitting at third, so he's one spot above her. He's sitting at 240. She's at 238. She's also at 1-1. Andrew Luck, 19. Rice, 20. Put up his respectable. Jamaica Freeland learned that 4. He kicked him to the curb. There was a mad rush on tight ends this Tuesday. He picked up DeMarco Murray. No. He picked up, what's the ex-Cowboy tight end? Who's been
Martellus
Bennett. He gave me a call at 7 o'clock in the morning. I appreciate it, buddy. I couldn't go back to sleep. But it was the first year he actually was paying attention, wanting to maintain his team. I was like, you know what? You did that so long as everyone else but myself who was looking for a tight end.
Yeah.
Didn't go in there and grab him. I'll get him for you because you're on it and you're
it's good to see you watching.
Yeah, and
that's what it takes.
You could be a threat too because you put up Wallace put up 19 points on the bench that you didn't even use. Owen Daniels for Erica. She's probably gonna have her starting lineup because Hernandez went out. Probably won't be back for a while, but we'll leave that with the
Mitch. Oh yeah, she's decimated. There's a ton of injuries on her team.
Hey, I got 60 seconds left. We're gonna knock out this last one so we can move on. Annihilators and 2 Pump Chumps. 2 Pump, hate you.
Ugly.
143.
Where do you get these?
2-0, sitting back in the top of the South.
Although I've got 2 running backs
against Port Christine at 0-2 at a 5th spot, 217. You're sitting at 303. So even if people start getting close to you, you've got the points already. You didn't leave much in the bench. Greg Little got you 16 points. What am I gonna say? You made the right picks. Hate you a bit, but you know what you're doing. Why you got your name on there a bit? Larry Fitzgerald is hurting her a lot, and we'll address that on F-bombs later. Dwayne Bowe did show up at 34 points, though, and that might be setting a fire under him. Brent Selleck with 26 points on the bench. Could have helped her a little bit, but I don't think it was a deciding factor. McFadden needs to get moving. He needs to get running. He was drafted accordingly. He's not there yet. When we come back, we're going to have next week's matchups and a whole lot more.
Stick around.